Are you an independent musician feeling overwhelmed by the endless act of juggling creativity, business, and self-care? You're not alone. That's why I created the Artist Mind Map. The Artist Mind Map is a free blueprint designed to help you get clear on the route you need to take to attain your career goals in alignment to your artistic values. This is not just another random PDF page for the forgotten corners of your hard disk. It's a timeless roadmap you can use for decades to come. Think of it as a go-to overview to consult. When you grab your free mind map, you get exclusive access to a masterclass that will take your career to the next level. I use the same methodologies and systems for my high-end paying clients and students. So why am I giving it to you for free? Simple. I want to build a community of artists who can count on each other for safe spaces. Music saved my life. I believe that you have all that it takes to be the artist you were meant to be, if you're willing to put in the work. And more importantly, understanding what that work is. And the Artist Mind Map was designed to help you do exactly that. So if this resonates with you, go to artistmindmap.com and download this resource. artistmindmap.com. We hear all about food diets, low carb, plant-based, intermittent fasting, and as a certified PT, I can assure you that this is one discussion that'll keep the jury out for a few more years to come. But today, I'd like to talk about a different kind of intake that shapes us as deeply, if not more, every single day. Our information diet. Just like the food you eat fools your body, the information you consume feeds your mind, your mood, and your creative spirit. If you're an artist, someone whose work literally depends on what's going on inside you, your information diet might be as important as your practice routine, your studio time, or your gigs. Let's break it down. Welcome to another session solo cast. These solo casts were designed to help independent artists and musicians like you navigate the very complex labyrinth that is your artistic practice and career. They're based on empirical research and experiences of my own career as an independent musician and an educator and coach working with artists just like you. The primary aim behind these sessions is to offer accessibility to the kind of education many of us need to work with in order to forward ourselves in these very confusing times as empowered and independent artists in the truest sense of the word. So, what is an information diet? Your information diet is the stream of content you consume on purpose or by accident on a daily basis. This could include social media scrolling, news headlines, podcasts like this one, YouTube rabbit holes, Netflix binges, books and articles, conversations you're a part of, even the playlists you keep on repeat. It's everything you're mentally feeding yourself, and just like with food, there's healthy stuff, junk, and a whole lot of filler that might leave you bloated with anxiety or drained of motivation. The term information diet gained traction from Clay A. Johnson's 2012 book, The Information Diet, A Case for Conscious Consumption, which argued that the overconsumption of media can be just as harmful to our well-being as overeating junk food. While his work focuses on media literacy and personal responsibility, the core idea, I would contend, applies quite well to creative practice as well. Now, why should artists specifically care about our information diet? Here's the thing. As an artist, your inner world is your workspace. It's where ideas are born, where inspiration gets sparked, and most importantly, where decisions about what to do and what not to do are possibly made. An imperative byproduct of this dynamic that doesn't get talked about enough is this. A cluttered mind makes it harder to access your own voice. So, let's unpack why being intentional about your information diet matters a bit more. Number 1, protecting your creative energy. Constant exposure to external stimuli, especially via social media and the likes, no pun intended, can hijack attention and lower intrinsic motivation. Psychologists have found that attention is a finite cognitive resource, and when it's fragmented by too much input, it becomes difficult to sustain creative focus. Artists whose work often depend on deep, uninterrupted engagement are especially vulnerable to this. Number 2, making room for original thought. Now here's some food for thought. If your brain is always full of someone else's opinions, commentary, or content, how does yours ever get a word in? Research from Martindale in 1999 on cognitive disinhibition suggests that creative individuals need space to freely associate ideas and make novel connections. Now, if cognitive disinhibition is a foreign term to you, it was to me up until quite recently. It refers to the brain's reduced tendency to filter out seemingly irrelevant thoughts or stimuli. Now, while that might sound like a flaw in everyday functioning, in creative contexts, it allows for more unconventional associations and insights to emerge. A constantly stimulated brain rarely enters this fertile state. Number 3, reducing mental fatigue. Bit of a no-brainer, but information overload is not just a buzzword. It's a legit cognitive condition, one with measurable effects on memory, attention, and decision-making. When the brain is bombarded with too much input, it struggles to process and prioritize information efficiently, leading to confusion, fatigue, and an impaired ability to focus, none of which are friendly to the creative process. Studies show that consuming too much digital media especially can impair decision-making and increase stress. For artists, this can show up as burnout, lack of motivation, or even creative paralysis. Number 4, feeding yourself the good stuff. Just like a regular diet, when you do consume content, it helps if you make it count. Seek out nourishing voices, conversations that expand your perspective, stories that light a fire in you, music that reminds you why you started, art that reminds you why you started. Consuming the right kind of content can replenish your emotional reserves, spark new ideas, and reconnect you with your sense of purpose. An overused word in this day and age, if you're around the kind of self-help communities I find myself in often, but still extraordinarily relevant for us. Purpose. For artists, that kind of resonance can be the catalyst for breakthroughs in both craft and confidence. Content that affirms your values or broadens your worldview can also increase empathy, deepen your storytelling skills, and help you grow not just as a quote-unquote creator, but as a human being. This is where curation comes in. You're the DJ of your own mental mix. How to curate a better information diet. Okay, now in my opinion, no need to go full digital detox unless you want to, in which case it is absolutely awesome. But in case that's the kind of measure you're not ready for, even a few intentional tweaks to your digital habits can make a huge difference, just like making intentional minor tweaks in our everyday food. Let's go through a few suggestions that might be worth your time. Number 1, audit your feeds. Unfollow or mute accounts that make you feel anxious, envious, or distracted. Now, I have done this, and needless to say, there is a certain amount of guilt involved if this feed happens to be coming from a colleague or a friend who you might be owing one or who you generally might like in everyday life, but doesn't necessarily have the same kind of curatory tastes in their social media. But remember, you are absolutely useless to the world if you cannot take responsibility for your own well-being first. There are many reasons people curate what they do on their social media feeds, and there is no reason for us to be judgy about it. But what we do want to take complete responsibility for is the effect that has on us. Be honest about it to ourselves and make sure that if needed, we mute or even unfollow in some extreme cases these feeds. As long as it is in fact something we're doing for the benefit of our well-being. I'm not being a proponent of overtly judgy or spiteful of someone's social media feed, just to clarify. Number 2, schedule silence. Now, sure, old one, meditation, the benefits a practice like that can come with has been written, talked about for a while now. I'm not sure it is my place to necessarily add to your information diet with more on this, although who knows, let me know if that's the kind of thing you'd like me to cover. I'd be more than happy to get into down the line. I do have a background in yoga and do have some teacher training, so generally speaking, meditation is something that has been known and proven to have only beneficial effects on our cognitive health. But even if meditation per se is not the kind of thing you want to get into, just observing silence in itself, without necessarily putting a label of mindfulness or meditation or whatever it is, a lot of people go around slapping labels on, just maintaining silence, especially if you're a musician, because your ears, like physiologically, benefit greatly with oral rest. Consider that, just maintaining silence. Number 3, set quote-unquote input limits. Now, this is kind of the equivalent of what we just referred to as far as oral rest is concerned, except in this case, you're not restricting the input of how you're receiving stimuli to just oral material, but general material all round. Give yourself pockets of time where you're not taking on any new content, no matter in what form. And you're using the same time instead for just processing, if need be, or actually working on your art, on your artistic practice, working on your self-care routines, working out, taking a walk, or dreaming, which is an extraordinarily underrated practice as artists and musicians. We need time to dream, to sleep. Dream either in the throes of slumber or outside. Number 3, set input limits. Number 4, choose content that feeds your soul. Now, this is the more proactive, positive aspects of curating your information diet. Replace doom scrolling with a thoughtful podcast, for example, like this one. Swap the news binge for an art book, for an example, or just take the initiative to find sources of information which aren't just information, but have the power to be inspiration. Seek inspiration instead of information. Tall order, easier said than done, a lot more complex than one might think it is, but there's another point which can go a long way in actually helping you out in curating your information diet. Choose content that actually feeds your soul. And when I say content, I'm being very broad here. It doesn't have to be quote-unquote content. I'm including music, I'm including art. Choose any kind of stimuli that actually feeds your soul. And last but not the least, surround yourself with humans who inspire, not drain. Now, if you heard my episode on social auditing, I actually go a little deeper into this. But in context of what we're talking about today specifically, yes, this counts too. Your social circle does kind of count as your information diet because the people around you are constantly feeding you the information and are definitely a part of your information diet as well. A lot of research out there has pointed out, and if you go to the blog post that comes with this podcast episode, links included on the episode notes, hopefully, if I do everything right, which is not something I'm always doing. I'm not perfect, but okay, shut up, TL. A lot of research out there has shown that especially those in digital or freelance spaces, face unique tension between being absorbed in tech and getting burnt out by it. Might be a bit of a no-brainer, but it still is the kind of thing we cannot be reminded of enough. So intentional limits can actually help a long way in tipping the balance towards, again, inspiration instead of exhaustion. It's funny, isn't it? It's the same source of energy we're looking at, but that same force the very same force can go both ways. So that's where free will comes in. That's where your proactive decision taking comes in. That's where intentionality comes in. You decide how you want to use the force. The information's out there. There's no running away from information unless you do decide to become a monk, which is a very legit decision, which people are actually taking every day. I'm not even joking here. But to be fair, unless that's the kind of path you intend on going on anytime soon, there's no running away from information, but you can curate it on your own terms. Anyone who's telling you you can't is simply not the kind of person you want to take at face value. Final thought. You are what you consume. I almost said eat. Well, you are the information you eat as well. As an artist, you just don't make art, you kind of are art. Or at least you are the channel through which art is being processed. So your entire process, the progress, the whole motion of things, that is the entire system from which your art is being created. Your ideas, your emotions, your sense of possibility, all of that is shaped by what you let in. So your output is directly connected to your input. So in case you haven't done so already, this might be a good time to ask yourself, what are you feeding your creativity today? Be selective, be intentional, be kind to yourself and the artist in you. Hope that helps.
Hey folks, I hope you found that episode helpful. Here's a little request. If you did, consider sharing this episode with your folks. Think about the ways in which they might benefit the way you did. And please don't ever hesitate to reach out if you have queries. My name's TL. I'm an independent musician and educator and the founder of the Holistic Musician Academy.